Hey, what's going on, and welcome to Starting on the Bench with Tim V. It's a place where normal people can talk about the sports they love, and our main topic of today is going over the news of this past week and giving our opinion on it. So first of all, we have Tom Brady leaving the Patriots, and the whole world is divided into happy people and sad people. Of course, the happy people, we are thankful for what's been done, but what Tom Brady has done to the league, what has done to the Patriots themselves, the organization, the nation of Boston, the New England, of course, and nobody else, no other quarterback has been able to get 6 Super Bowl rings. So this is something that, as a human being, you tip your hat to the athlete and an amazing human being that he is. But at the same time, we have sad people who are really upset with Tom Brady, not necessarily with the Patriots, but I feel like some people should. Not really. If you ask my opinion, nobody should be upset with anybody. It just so happens, sometimes there are good eggs and sometimes there are bad eggs. I'm not really sure how this analogy works here, but we have Tom Brady, who's been super faithful and super excited to play for the Patriots for so long, and he's definitely taken a pay cut in the past God knows how long. He's definitely been somebody that I guess he spent more time focusing on making sure that the whole team gets enough money and that the whole team is being able to be compiled of A-list stars, such as, before Antonio Brown and all that. And then obviously Bill Belichick, who, Patriots, it's kind of funny how on one side we have so many people trash the Patriots because they're so good and they have so many stars. But on the other hand, you see Q-list players being selected, and then all of a sudden they become great, and that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing post Tom Brady era in the Patriots. My friend and I, we've been following the Patriots, and we've been a huge fans because of the work that they put in. Famous phrase is "do your job," and that's something that I feel like Tom Brady has been doing his job for the past 20 years, and now the time has come where he's going to move away. Obviously, sad people because they think that he's doing this for the money, as well as, he's being selfish. I don't think that's what's happening, because he has given, again, 20 years to this organization, and I expect them to give back. I expect them to give back to him, but unfortunately, I think they did. I think they have definitely given him, and Kraft and Mr. Kraft and all the whole organization, the city especially, they have given the love back to him, and that's how he's been staying relevant. So just to read off of his latest Instagram post on his account, it says, "Excited, humble, and hungry. If there is one thing that I have learned about football, it's what nobody cares what you did last year or the year before that. You earn the trust and respect of those around through your commitment every single day." I'm struggling to read. I'm starting a new football journey and thankful to the Buccaneers, so Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to be there. The main quarterback. For giving me an opportunity to do what I love to do. I look forward to meeting all of my new teammates and coaches and proving to them that they can believe and trust in me. I have always believed that well done is better than well said. So I'm not going to say much more. I'm just going to get to work. Year 1, P.S. Jack Brady, with a photo credit. I guess his son. But anyway, that's true. He's going to be a part of Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is wonderful, fantastic news. Adam Schefter has tweeted out first, saying that, reliable sources say that he's going to go that. Tom Brady has been a lot on the news recently, talking about, who's going to be. He posted this controversial picture, on his Instagram, where it's a black and white picture of him being in a shadow, and the picture being taken from like the locker room area as he's walking into the, as if he's going to the stadium. Or you can read it in the way that he's walking away from the stadium too. So he's just been playing with the media for so long, and kind of building up reputation of a person who's like, I have no idea what's going to be happening. But everybody was like, oh, they have to, Tom Brady has to go here. Everybody thought that since he's from California, everybody was like, hey, he's going to definitely go to LA Chargers because Rivers left their main quarterback left the team with his 19 kids. But that's what's happening. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they something that's interesting that Tampa Bay started selling their season tickets, and now it's about 10,000 waiting spots. So you go on Ticketmaster or something like that, and you wanting to purchase tickets for season tickets, or even like I don't know, they're probably going to be selling like game by game, but season tickets. And somebody jumped on it, and it was like a 95-person waiting list before, and now it's like up to 10,000 or something like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see Tom Brady in those colors, how he's going to be playing for the team, especially a lot of players right now. Todd Gurley, he was released from LA Rams, and everybody thinks that he's going to be going to Tampa Bay. But we're going to see. We definitely want to see maybe Antonio Brown showing off his wide receiver talent, because he hasn't played in a year. But he's definitely stayed active. So it's going to be interesting who's going to be playing for Buccaneers and Tom Brady. So good job to that. Second point is NFL draft is still going to be held in April in Las Vegas. I'm definitely... they say that they have no means to move anything except for practice camps and some coaches just away. So each team is going to be responsible for their athletes, for their coaches and staff and cooking and stuff like that, so that nobody will get sick in April. Of course, that's something that's very important. They're going to host it in Las Vegas, and first of all, if you're an American football fan and you're watching draft, don't stop. Unless you're a part of the draft, there's no point of you following the draft, because nobody's going to be happy, because nobody's going to know how things are going to turn out. Obviously, if you're in the top 10 draft picks, that's, go do it. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting. I think the Patriots are going to be doing something that's not like them, because Belichick is going to be forced to make some kind of rash decision. The same thing that, there's a theory that goes on that Belichick wanted Tom Brady to leave the Patriots when they played against in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia Eagles. And so where Jimmy Garoppolo, he went to the 49ers, and of course we see how Garoppolo is he's been absolutely amazing. But I think the draft, that's what's gonna happen with the draft. So stick around in April, and let's see what's gonna happen. But they have no means to move anything or anyone except for the practice camps of where they're going to be held, and as well as coaches, because some coaches are being tested. They're testing positive for coronavirus for this situation, and they're old. So please, NFL, keep the coaches safe, keep them exactly in line, because older people are more accessible. I guess what's the word? Old people die faster from this virus. So the third thing is I'm really excited, since I'm a European. I'm really excited about this news. Well, not excited, but like it's closer to home. So Euro 2020, it happens just like Olympics. Olympics happens every 4 years. You have Summer Olympics every 4 years and Winter Olympics every 4 years. So the same thing with Euro and World Cup. So Euro Cup's supposed to happen 2020, but they're canceling the 2020, and they're moving it to 2021. So I guess it's sort of postponing, but at the same time, because their official sources said that they're postponing it, but at the same time, it just sounds like I guess. It just feels like it's canceling, and which means the Euro Cup is going to be in 2021, and then World Cup is going to be in 2022. So this might not give enough time for teams for the rest to rest between the World Cup in 2020 and the 2021. But time will always tell who's a better athlete. Got to be ready for everything, right? And if you're an athlete who's got you got 82 games during the season, then you have different other leagues that those players participate. And so they definitely play a lot, but with this kind of situation, Europe is watching you play and the whole world is watching, and like people who are not usually going to be sitting around watching soccer, they would be tuning in to see who's going to be the greatest of all time. Who's going to be the goat of soccer, I guess, if you will. So that's something that's going to be interesting. I think that as well. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure what else to add to that, but this is something that I'll definitely be excited to see. Number four, we have, with everything in mind with the Euro 2020 being postponed, we have MLS, Major League Soccer. They're starting their season in May 10th. But they're careful with it as well, So, of course, we see the NBA regular season has been canceled. NHL has been, I think, postponed, and then tennis has been major like Miami Open has been canceled, just because of this coronavirus, just this outbreak of this virus. So, you would assume that other major leagues are going to be canceling, but they're postponing until May 10th. So they're careful with it as well. Or Germany and France and Spain have been suspended other leagues, but MLS is just moving, postponing it. So that's pretty interesting. As well as I feel like this is something that's very useful for my soccer fans. Basically, you've heard of David Beckham not as a celebrity or as a person who's like the hottest male on earth who's married to the hottest female on earth, right? They're having a power couple and they've been married for about 20 years or something like that. Yo, that's crazy. Because growing up watching David Beckham and being uh, playing in the league, right? It's just been something that like. Yeah, I remember growing up and watching it. Now, recent news said that about 7 or 8 years ago, the news broke out that David Beckham wants to start a club in the U.S., right? And him being a part of LA Galaxy has really, I guess, like taught him about the U.S. culture, about how football, about how I guess soccer has been ingrained in American culture, and that this is still on a rise of being popular, and or not even popular but mainstream, because a lot of things are like you can be popular but not mainstream, but it can be something can really suck but be in mainstream and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? So David Beckham is finally starting his club. He's going to be the president of it. He finished building his sanctuary, which is 18,000 seat stadium. We'll have more pictures coming in later, and how it looks like. So I'll let you guys know. I'll give you my opinion about it. It's called Inter Miami. I don't know why I said it like that, but Inter Miami in Florida. It's going to be really interesting because I've been about 5 years ago I started following his progress and everything, because in the beginning he's like, oh yeah, it's gonna take like 2-3 years max, and it's taking him 7-8 years on everything, and finally he's getting to that place. But I believe that if David Beckham is doing something, that is gonna pay off, and it's gonna be amazing. He obviously has a lot of investors, people believe in him, and that's something that, imagine David Beckham, the star, where everybody's like, they know him not as a football star, they know him as this handsome, popular man who it feels like every single European guy wants to be like him, that kind of thing, right? His family, his lifestyle, and everything. So I feel like it becomes a culture thing. I feel like MLS is going to be more and more popular, and it's going to be becoming a culture thing where everybody's like, okay, well, now that everybody, you could get injured from NFL, NBA, there's only like 11 people on the team, so you can get cut or you cannot make it, and maybe soccer is going to be the next big thing where it's not very brutal or physically demanding, but at the same time you have to be in the best shape of your life. And soccer is going to be definitely, I think, on the rise in the next 3 years. Mark my words. In the next 3 years, soccer is going to be much more popular, right? So On the other news, we have David. I'm sorry. On the other news, we have UFC postponed their upcoming three major cards. Now, if you're a UFC fighter or you like people bleed and all in the octagon, I'm definitely excited for you because that's the thing. The next big three fights, and they usually have, they have some time in between, but they intentionally UFC fighters before they fight. The reason I think why they postpone is not because there's no viewers. Obviously, if you UFC, if you don't have viewers, there's no point of, and that's why it became famous ever since 2014. Everybody started watching UFC because there's less rules than in boxing. There's more blood and things happen much more, like much quicker. However, if UFC relies heavily on pay-per-view, just like boxing or any other fighting activities, but at the same time, UFC is, it becomes it's kind of strange, but like it becomes more of like there are more fights happening. If boxing, you have to wait a couple of, if you have to wait a couple of months before the major like event or something like that's happening because the promoters and everything. But now we have one organization, UFC. Dana White. He's been somebody who intentionally handpicks different fighters and see who's gonna be playing because he picks of who he thinks people want to see them fight or fight. And so three major events or cards that are going to be represented, they're going to be postponed until later. They're not going to be canceled, but postponed until later. So that's something that's going to be a little bit sad for the fighting world because they expected to see that. There's a reason why UFC, you have a little less time in between the fights, and they have more cards, and especially what's his name, Kevin McGregor, no, Conor McGregor, there you go. No, it's just for my meme, because whenever Conor McGregor, he was going on drinking and he wasn't fighting, like he looked so bad wherever, but it's like, oh, this cannot be Conor McGregor. This is his like lost twin brother, like cousin who like always beats up people. His name is Kevin McGregor. It's like a double ganger, like I don't know. But Conor McGregor, he created such a platform for UFC, such a area where it's not just him, because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, McGregor really built the scene for UFC. Before him, we had Nate Diaz, we had Barbosa, like a lot of John Jones. We have a lot of other fighters who have been promoting the sport, not just McGregor. But it became like McGregor became entertainment, and in the fight in boxing, when I'm a huge fan of boxing, I realized that sometimes you have to understand that it's not just about it's not just about, I guess, fighting. It's about making sure that people are tuning in for that fight. And if you're overseas, you're not gonna wake up at 5 a.m. to watch some kind of lame fight. You have to have a reason to watch it. And I think that a lot of fights happen because of that. Happen because of that idea of like, okay, I want to see them fight. So I think that UFC they postponed the fights, three major fights, but I think that it's a good thing. I think that it has become, because they want to do such a popular thing where everybody wants to move and everybody wants to do something new. I think that UFC is gonna come back, and they haven't posted the date yet, but they said it's gonna be around June or something like that. So I think that that's something that's gonna be very famous, very very watchable, I guess. And I want to be careful with what I say, because each fight is something that's memorable, and each fight is something that, like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that people did that. But at the same time, I think that I'm just gonna say this. They will take their time to put all the fights and all the right opponents together to make it even more entertaining, right? So you're giving more time to people to post more, or you're giving these organizations and leagues more time to think and prepare their large comeback. So I think the UFC is going to be an amazing thing, right? Not just the next three fights that they have postponed and planned already, but the next 3, 4, 5 that they're going to beat at the end of the year. So 2020 is going to be a lot of overwhelming events, not just like this virus, but like overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they pulled this off, that kind of thing. So on the last thing of today's backup update, I'm definitely excited about Formula One. Like, I know that this sport doesn't get mainstream viewership, or not many people are interested in it. But again, if you know, tennis can be not mainstream, but if you go into tennis clubs or something like that, everybody knows everybody, right? Everybody knows the top, 1 to 3, 5, 10 people, right? At the same time, Formula One, when you're really focusing, following and watching the sport, you realize that Formula One is actually such a rich sport, and and that's something that they sometimes, what is it? People say that NFL is an athlete sport, NBA is an athlete sport, because they train their bodies for certain things, right? That's why, like, video games is not, you cannot call somebody who competes in video games, right, an athlete, because it's a little bit different. And there's a huge argument where I'm still not really sure on which side I'm on. I feel like you cannot consider it an athlete, but Formula One, a lot of people are like, oh, you're not an athlete or something like that. Well, I'm like, no, don't worry. And Formula One is definitely, because you have to prepare yourself and everything. But I'll be curious to hear other opinions and see how it is. But NFL One, where it's not a mainstream sport, but there's so much money and dedicated eyeballs to it. So races like Monaco Grand Prix, it has been canceled. It was supposed to be this year, supposed to be, I think, in a couple of months, and so obviously, guess where it's gonna be, in Monaco, right? Monaco. I don't know. It depends how you say it. So it's been canceled. Unfortunately, a lot of people are upset, and I got into this argument with some people on social media. Kind of not an argument. I'm sorry, but a conversation like, oh man, like this happened, and all of them were like super upset, because it's like, oh, how dare you not think twice? Everything should be canceled. We have to be quarantined and stay safe. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, like, don't underestimate the planning of these leagues, organizations, these platforms, where they're able to be at home and still plan a huge comeback, right? So I feel sad for the drivers who are in the Formula One, because they're not able to compete and show their talents, but they have more time to prepare for the next race, and more time for faster cars, because the more time you spend practicing and planning their routes, and between different huge races, they upgrade their cars, different systems, different informational things for their races. So I think that it's a necessary things, from tires to engines to exteriors to interiors to clothes and everything. So Formula One is going to be very interesting, not just cars, but bikes as well. So this is going to be, because it's not called Formula One for bikes, but this is going to be a very interesting thing to see. So I'll keep you up to date on that, especially, of course, my opinion on all of that. So as a conclusion, I just want to say, like, what will happen to the sports, right? They will bounce back for sure. If you say they're not gonna bounce back, I have to call you stupid, because I don't know. From the owner's perspective, they definitely want to make more money, and they want to figure out how it's gonna be best developed, and this is a learning process for them. For athletes, I am in the prime time of my career, of my ability, so I want to show my talents off and not sit at home. So they definitely going to be practicing at home or whatever, keeping it secured under quarantine. Just like everything else in life, it will come back much stronger and more direct. This time away will allow the organizers to plan the return. So I urge you to just wait patiently and see what's happening. It's only been a week and a half since everybody started quarantining everybody. So yeah, that's my opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, thank you for your attention, and for your attention, and I hope you're staying safe. All right, bye.